Thanks everyone for tuning in to today's episode of Canal Days, what life was like in the industrial Connecticut River Valley. As always, I am your host Carrie, along with my co-host and founder of Historical Tours of Greater Holyoke, Robert Comem. Our Canal Days series explores historic sites throughout Massachusetts with Robert's expertise of the state's history as our personal guide. Each episode, we discover another historic location or landmark, exploring the significance within. Today's episode will be exploring the St. John the Baptist Cemetery, located in New Bedford, Massachusetts. So, Robert, can you illustrate for us where in New Bedford is the St. John the Baptist Cemetery located?
It's found at 664 Allen Street in New Bedford, and it's along the western edge of New Bedford, right at the eastern tip of the community of Dartmouth. It's about 10 feet away from the boundary between those two. And it was easy to get land out there because, sure, New Bedford was a city, but its outskirts were quite rural, and Dartmouth itself is quite rural. And this is quite a beautiful cemetery, and I hope you go there. We're going to talk about who's buried here and some of the features of the cemetery, the history of it, and what type of cemetery it is overall. And I visited the cemetery a couple times. It's quite a nice one. I would even call it gorgeous. And so keep that in mind.
What particular faction of people were or are buried in the cemetery?
It's a Roman Catholic cemetery for the Portuguese ethnic group. They mostly settled into New Bedford from about 1915 to about 1930s. And they not only came from Portugal itself, but I would say mostly came from the Atlantic islands that the Portuguese owned. And specifically, that means Madeira and the Azores. And also, it means some people from Brazil. And that would be definitely a minority. And what kind of jobs did they do in New Bedford? They did mostly housekeepers, chefs for richer households, and anything that was associated with restaurants and retail. And, 80 years later, most of them are quite integrated into New Bedford society. And the Portuguese very much take care of their burial sites, even in Portugal. It's a very special rite of passage for them. Very much so also with the Polish, and it's very similar to their cemetery. So in this cemetery, you have a lot of gorgeous features, and the stones are quite gorgeous. And so even the people that didn't make too much money in life were well taken care of, either by the church community or by the extended family. So there's a lot of nice stones
here. And stay tuned, as we will be right back after this quick break. Are you fascinated by history and eager to explore the hidden gems of Massachusetts? Or maybe just looking for an enjoyable cultural activity for the family? Look no further than the Historical Tours of Greater Holyoke, founded by Robert Comem. With over a decade of experience, Robert offers captivating public tours and presentations of historical sites and landmarks throughout the state. Whether you're interested in canals, cemeteries, or charming old churches, Robert's tours provide a unique and enriching experience for all. And that's not all. You can also book private tours tailored to your interests, ensuring a personalized and unforgettable adventure. Perfect for families or groups of all sizes, making an exciting hands-on learning experience that brings history to life. Simply visit holyokecanaltour.org or email bobcat4214 @yahoo.com to schedule your private tour today. But wait, there's more. Don't miss out on Robert's podcast and video series, Canal Days, where you can dive even deeper into the rich history of the Connecticut River Valley. Plus, for those who may not be local or would rather enjoy on the go or from the comfort of their home, Canal Days brings the history right to your screen. So why wait? Discover the past with Historical Tours of Greater Holyoke and make memories that will last a lifetime. And remember to log on to holyokecanaltour.org. We're back with our Canal Days St. John the Baptist Cemetery in New Bedford, Massachusetts episode. And Robert, can you describe some of the unique features you can find in the cemetery?
Yes, they have a gorgeous chapel inside. It's quite well made. Probably the nicest thing inside the cemetery itself. It has a beautiful gate with a nice sign to it also. And there's the layout of the cemetery is pretty much along straight line axis. So there's a nice map, but sure, it's a nice grid, but it's a quite gorgeous map that's available on Find a Grave. And it shows you the entrance from Allen Street. And inside is a priest circle in the very middle of the cemetery. And there's a columbarium section where you have above ground burials. And there's actually two sets of those. And then there's the typical other sections, a section for the poor people, a section for the young children that are buried here. And they have one section where they have a gorgeous statue. So it's a very nice place, and you might think that, oh, it's in the middle of the city. No, it's a very rural look to it.
And what category would you consider this cemetery style to be?
It's a lawn-style cemetery. Everything's in grids, and if you go there, you'll see there's a lot of roads and there's a lot of paths to walk on, and everything's in a grid. The columbarium's in straight, perfect lines, so everything's lined up beautifully. So, and sure, it might look monotonous, but the gravestones themselves are quite gorgeous looking, and that's because the Portuguese have a real tradition to be carvers, stone carvers, and that really spills over here. Now, one final thing I'll say, my cousin is related to me on his maternal side, but on his paternal side, his two grandparents came from the Portuguese island. His grandfather, Jacinto, came from Madeira, and his grandmother, Odelia, came from the Azores. And that's very typical. They would intermarry between these islands a lot as they came to the United States. And they worked very hard when they came here. Of course, they were very poor back on the islands, but when they came here, they worked and worked, got an apartment, and had a lot of kids, but they worked to have a better life, and they succeeded. So thank you for coming to the cemetery and listening to the podcast.
And of course, thanks for tuning in. And thanks for tuning into Canal Days and today's episode on the St. John the Baptist Cemetery in New Bedford, Massachusetts, and joining us on our journey through the rich history of the Connecticut River Valley. We hope you enjoyed uncovering some of the hidden gems and fascinating stories that shape our past in the state of Massachusetts. A special thanks to Robert Camus, founder of the Historical Tours of Greater Holyoke, for sharing his passion and expertise with us. Remember, you can find more information about Robert's tours, book private tours, and explore the Canal Days video and podcast series at holyokecanaltour.org. And if you enjoyed today's episode, please like, comment, and share. We'd love to hear your thoughts and suggestions for future episodes. Until next time, keep exploring and discovering the history that surrounds us. Thanks for listening, and don't forget to tune in to our next episode on Canal Days on holyokecanaltour.org.